Okay, so we are definitely live, and thank you for joining. I believe others will be joining us, so as they are joining, they can state their name and yeah, just ensure their attendance. Last time on Tuesday, we spoke on introduction to aquaculture business, and I think we did a differentiation between what is aquaculture business and what is aquaculture, and how that students are being taught aquaculture in school and not aquaculture business. I don't know if you remember that, right? Students
Yes,
are
sir.
being taught aquaculture in school, not aquaculture business, rather. So it's a whole lot of different concepts and approach when you say aquaculture and aquaculture business. So yesterday I was at Search Farms to also take them on introduction to aquaculture business, and I asked the students. So they did a little bit well to define that it involves sales, it involves profit, it involves structure, right? And commercial, both commercial or small scale, you are doing business, so you have to know the difference. And we also looked at why some farm fails. So who is going to share one or two reasons why farm fail that we look at on Tuesday? Perpetua, if you are on the YouTube page, you can drop your name. If you are on the YouTube page, you can drop your name and you can also respond to the question. Uh, yeah. So Perpetua.
Okay, so we looked at inadequate planning, that is, inadequate planning of structure of how to start a business. We looked at young start upcoming farmers starting aquaculture as an opportunity instead of a business. We looked at water and power supplies, which is also as a result of inadequate planning. We looked at record keeping and all of that. Yes.
Okay, so you've said some important stuff. Inadequate planning, which is one of the biggest problems. And the statement always goes like, if you plan to, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, and that's just it. Planning is key. Planning starts even before you buy your fish, even before you secure your pond. You're already planning on what to do. Oh, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. I want to go into this business. You start planning. How much do you want to make? How do you want to make that amount? Right? So planning is gradual, planning is insight. Like we shared yesterday, that planning is insight. So today, uh, we are going to be talking about aquaculture as a system. And we know when we say aquaculture as a system, we are talking about how you can save yourself time and money. Save yourself time, energy, and money. That system. Let me post. Uh, Save yourself time, energy, and money. So I posted that in the comment section. I believe you can see that. Save yourself time, energy, and money. That's system. So today we are looking at aquaculture as a system. Now, most of the time, I used to say students should pretend as if they don't know anything at this stage, because if you've joined some of our digital training class, you see we defined what aquaculture means, and we said is an intentional cultivation of aquatic organism. either in a controlled or semi-controlled condition. And from that intentional, we used to bring out four aquaculture principles or aquaculture business principles that is always key or strong, that you can't do without. You know, yes. On Tuesday, we also say that many participants come in with the mindset of fish farming as an activity. Even students graduating from school and they want to be aquaculture farm owners think it's just an activity. And that's the things that we are saying today. But like what we are doing today is to reframe that no, aquaculture is system. Aquaculture is structured production and enterprise system where you look at biology, which is the science you are going to be taught in school, management, costs, and data, where all of this interact together. So, and I don't know if I said this in the last uh, class that science is a subset of business, and business is not a subset of science. That is, biology is the only science that you will find in aquaculture. Biology, all of it is biology, even aquaculture is biology. And the rest will be what? Cost management and data. So, when we were talking about why they fail, we are talking about, oh, data and measurement is one of the reasons they fail. Poor management and planning is one of the reasons they fail. Poor financial structure is one of the reasons they fail. So these are the parts that they just overlook. But when it comes to biology, you see them, they say, I'm a good archery technician, I know how to arch, I know how to do this, I know how to raise fish. But what about the costs? Do you know how to calculate your cost per kg? Do you know how to do your finance? Do you know how to manage the farm properly, manage people, manage resources? Do you know how to even measure growth, performance, survival rates, FCR, and all of that? So these are other things that make it a system. Because when you are engaging in this, you not only save yourself time, you save yourself your money. Because if you don't measure, you don't know their growth rate on time, how would you know when to stop feeding or when to sell out your stock? So there's no data to actually inform your decision. And like that, you can waste money on feed, you can waste your time I should have even used to start another batch of cycle. You see, so this is a very critical point that we are going to be discussing today. And the goal here is to help you build the mental foundation for either you are going to be engaging in technical part of the business or management interactions that you'll be having with your business. So, another concept we are supposed to look at is competency, right? And most of in our digital training, we used to say that most of this training is for you to build competency. It is hard to find competent individuals today. You might be young, right? But this is the time you need to start so that you can build on it. I believe what you can learn here, you can build on it and be better, right? So when you start now is much more okay than starting in the next 3 years. So this is like a pace for the future, a fast tracked lane for you. So when we talk about competency, we are not talking about being able to make money. Right? It's part of it, but then not the major stuff. Because today we have many incompetent people rushing into business and they are also rushing out the same way, right? Uh, Competency doesn't have to do with how much money you make, it has to do with adaptations and sustainability of you that will now reflect on the business itself. How much can you adapt? How much of yourself is sustainable? You yourself, are you sustainable? And being sustainable means you are skilled, you also can apply your skill. So when we are saying that the theme of this year is young and sustainable, we know what we are saying. We want people that are competent. Is a thought is a team that capture rebuilding competent individuals for the next agribusiness youth revolution, right? So competency is what erase talent who can't do this without making mistakes, right? Who can't take initiative or use initiative by themselves, who cannot manage things on their own, who cannot meet targets, set targets but they are not able to meet it and produce results, who cannot or talent who need to or who have to be micromanaged or supervised all the time. So after your session of training, you can say that, oh, this set of people, we can tell them to go and train other guys. You don't need to be there. You don't need to say we have to be present, but you can deliver without being supervised, without being micromanaged, right? And you don't have short attention span and less fruitful hours. It means your hours, if you are going to spend 1 hour on this, it's going to be fruitful, it's going to give results. If you are going to have even have an attention, you're not giving just short attention to what you are doing, but you can have a long attention span. So this we believe strongly is going to build competency within us. So how many of us know what principles mean? Principles mean. Tawakalitu, you want to share? Perpetual. What does principles mean? Principle. When we say principle, what does it mean? There's no right answer, there's no wrong answer. You can give any answer. Just also on YouTube, you can type in the comments what principle mean. So Perpetual, let's hear from you, and uh, Tawakalitu, let's hear from you too.
Okay, so principles are like rules or guidelines that guide something. Yeah.
Okay. What about are you there? Okay. Um so most of the time, principles can be known as moral or ethical standards, can be known as the basic truths and foundations, can be known as the scientific and mechanical rules, right? So, like you said, there are laws. It can be law, it can be fact that explains how something, can be laws or fact that explains how something happens or work. So, so Tolumeri also mentioned principles are core values that you live by. Okay, so these are these are good points, right? So when we talk about principles, we know that these are things that you can't do without. There are laws, there are values, there are rules, right? And if you look at it, a principle can be a fundamental truth, rule, or belief. That's Google meaning, that guides either behavior, reasoning, or the way something functions, right? Look at that. It either guides behavior, guides reasoning, or the way something functions. It serves as the foundational for a moral code, a system of belief, or a scientific law. So when you talk about principles, is a guide, right? Is a truth, is something that you can't say, you can't you can't bend, right? So that's what we are looking at. To build system, you have to understand the principles of aquaculture, right? Aquaculture business. And the principle number one is control. I was teaching this yesterday. I said that control is the foundation of all systems. If you don't have control over some things, um, it means you can't really design the outcome. Yeah. So even in the definition of aquaculture, we said that is the cultivation of aquatic organism what in a controlled or semi-controlled environment. It means that control is key. That is why control is number one. Anytime you say you want to do aquaculture, it means you want to create a segment of water body that you want to be in charge. You want to be influencing everything that happens there. So know that you are in control. So in aquaculture, you must understand that nothing profitable happens by accident, right? Water is the main environment of fish and it will regulate itself in aquaculture. We did not say in the wild, in aquaculture, right? It means that you have to be in charge. Fish will not optimize their own growth. You have to determine what that. Markets do not reward guesswork. They will reward real and factual data. So see it this way. If you give birth today, you have to be in charge, be in control of everything that happens to your child, your baby, until he or she come of age that you know that, oh, this person can now take care. But in aquaculture, no matter your fish grows, you still be in charge, still be in control, right? You should never lose control because anytime you choose to not have influence over what happens to them, they might die, they might fall sick, they might start disintegrating in their health, right? So control is key, no matter how you want to look at it. You have to control everything that happens in the pond, right? You have to be intentional to take ownership of every variables that support its proper life. So I want us to mention what are the things that we have control over when it comes to aquaculture. What are the things that you know we have control over when it comes to aquaculture? Is Star there? Is Perpetual there? And if you're on YouTube, also type on the comment section. What are the things you know we have control over when it comes to aquaculture? Yeah, I'm with you. Anyone that wants to go first? Who is going first? Perpetual, Tower, who is going first?
Um, Let me go first. So when it comes to aquaculture, things we have control over, one of the things we have control over is the water, like the water management and all. They are the things we have control over in aquaculture. The
What
stocking
mm-hmm.
density, that is the amount of feed that we give to the fish, is also something we have control over. That's the feed type, the breed selection, and the rest of that. Yeah.
Okay, good. So we have control over water. That's even the first thing. You have control, even you have control over the type of pond you use, right? You have control over people that will work for you. You have control over the kind of medications or antibiotics that you're going to use. You have control over the type of feed, like you mentioned, that you're going to what feed on. You have control almost over everything. So you have to be the influencer of what happens, right? In that business. So know what you have control over and ensure that you can design the outcome from what you are controlling. So a farmer who has control is what is designing that outcome. And in aquaculture business, control will help you what to reduce uncertainty. It will help you to predict output and mitigate risk efficiently. You can reduce uncertainty, you can control, you can reduce, you can predict your output, and you can mitigate risk efficiently when you have control, right? So the next one is planning. Intentional means planning. So planning is the architecture of results, right? And is also a living code for life. You must have a plan on, oh, what if I do this and what if it doesn't work? Will all your plan work out? Yes and no, right? But if it doesn't work, what will be the result? What will you do next? So every successful aquaculture system begins long before water touches the pond. It begins in the mind with structure, sequencing, and foresight. So planning is meant to answer some important questions for you in the business. And there are 5 vital questions for proper planning. The number one is, what species? Now, because you want to go into agriculture, you have to ask, what species do you want to raise? Why are you raising that species? Is there a demand for it? That will now lead you to what market. Is there a demand for it? What market is there? Is this what people are buying? Then if they are buying it, who are the buyers? Do I know them face to face? Do I know them? So you are thinking, you are designing, you are planning, because your planning also involve your strategy, your market strategy, and what production cycle. Now you now say, okay, this is the market. How did I want to design my production cycle? Should I produce for 3 months? Did I just go into hatchery that will be 1 month? And then how did I want to be doing the cycle every 1 month or every two months? Or how do I want to be selling? Right? So what's your cost structure also? You also check what's your cost structure. That's during the process of planning. Oh, I'm going to rent a pond or maybe buy a land. I'm going to get water. How do I want to get my water? I'm going to get feed. I'm going to get workers. I'm going to get some equipment. I'm going to get net and all of this. How do I want to get all of this? Right? If you must get all of that and you must do it, you must know the costs. How do you want to structure your costs? This so amount is going to go into um, labor for the next 6 months, right? So what's your exit strategy? You also have to know, how did I want to leave this business? Is either to diversify into another value chain. Oh, let me do this for a while. You plan, for the next 1 year I want to do archery so that I can make this money and start processing. Or in the next 3 years I want to do this. But during those process you have to gain stability so you can understand the business very well. So if you don't plan, all your efforts can become scattered energy overnight, right? So planning is very important. Planning is meant to align your effort with execution, not the other way around, right? Planning is meant to align your efforts with execution, not the other way around. So to know if your plan worked, the efficiency of your production is the first indicator. How efficiency, when I was teaching them yesterday, I said efficiency means that you can save money on whatever you do. So if it doesn't save you money, it means you've not planned well, because your planning will say, okay, how do I improvise? I don't have, how do I improvise and still get my result, right? The efficiency of your production is what is the first indicator. That is, you had a lot of fish produced, you made a lot of money without spending too much money, right? Followed by, how much of resources are you able to optimize? Optimization means that you can make good use of resources without incurring wastage, right? And was time wasted? Do you waste your time? Some people can raise fish for 6 months, fish that they should have raised for 4 months, because they don't plan well. Don't plan when they are going to sell out. So don't plan because I want to sell out, then let me buy all my feed at once, so that I can also plan for my market. I know that I want to sell to these people. Let me start planning for people I want to sell out at once. So you are wasting time because you didn't plan, right? How much of time was wasted or conserved? Remember, our goal is system, and your plan must what? To what? Save time and not consume time. Save energy and not consume energy. Save money and not what? Consume too much money. Do we understand planning?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the next principle is measurement. Measurement, which is data. We want to speak on measurement. The principle, what do you understand by the principle of measurement? I don't know, is it towers network? And that's why we are not hearing her. Tower, you are back. Can you speak? Is it your network?
Hello, hello, sir. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We've not been able to hear you for a while.
I think it's my network. Sorry, sir.
Mm.
For
So I,
measurement,
but were you able to hear us?
yes, sir.
Okay. So
I think,
what is do you understand what do you understand by the principle of measurement?
okay, sir, what I understand by it is that if you don't measure, you overfeed, underfeed, or you never know if your fish are growing.
Mm, okay.
That's
Okay,
what I
that's a
understand.
great point. If you are on the YouTube page, you can also type your contributions in the comment section. Perpetua, what about you?
If you can't, like, if you can't measure something, you can't, you can't control it. And you should fishing or aquaculture should not be run on guesswork. So from measurement, you're going to record keeping and all of that. That's how they like interrelate. Because if you don't measure, you don't know the amount of feed you fed them, the amount of mortality rates you are having. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, yeah, you are both right. You are both right. So, you know, what you do not measure, you cannot improve. I think that's the foundation of this principle. If you don't measure, you can't improve. What you don't measure, you can't improve, right? And measurement is the language of systems. How do you know you've not wasted money if you do not measure how much money did you spend? How do you know if you have not wasted time, if you don't know how long you've stocked your what pond, right? How will you know if you have not wasted energy, if you have been doing some things that are not really relevant in the business? I once said in my real video that one of the mistake farmers can make is saying that my pond is fine, right? And how do you know? That's the question. How do you know your pond is fine when there are no parameters that are backing what you are saying? What is the guarantee that what you are saying is correct? Where is the data? With years of interaction with farmers, most farmers think they can do without this principle, right? And they don't know it's come back to on them. If you are not measuring your health most of the time to know what's my blood pressure, what's my state of heart, you may not even know that something is already doing you, right? Until you now go and measure and say, this man, this woman, you want to kill yourself? Look at your blood pressure. When last did you check it? Right, so you can either come back to hunt a farmer as yield or profit. So in aquaculture, measurement is everywhere. either in growth rate, just like you guys have mentioned, feed ratio, feed conversion ratio, your mortality rate, your water parameters, your costs and revenue. If you start measuring, it can turn your assumptions into data, and instead of assuming that your pond or your business is fine, you can now prove it with data, right? And that's the only way to track your performance. So you have to know if you have really optimized your process by measuring, and if your business can scale when you diligently what take measurement as a key principle. So you can't know, okay, should I scale? If you don't measure all of those parameters that we've mentioned, you don't know whether to scale. Scale is either to expand, to diversify, or to increase your production rate, right? If you are not doing well with 5,000, why should you go into 10,000? If you can measure and say, okay, your management skill can actually carry out 5,000 properly, and you measure the results, you measure everything that you get from it, then you can say, okay, yeah, let me scale into this, let me scale into that, let me start 10,000, right? So if you want to be an intelligent investor and not just an effort driven aquapreneur or aquaculture professional, you have to start measuring everything that happens, right? So when we go into aquaculture business, let's ensure that we measure uh, whatever the value chain, whether it's going to be processing, that is going to be archery, that's going to be in tech, that is going to be consulting, auditing. You have to measure. You have to carry out the principles of measurement. So the next one is decision making. At least we made decisions in our life. You decide to be on this training, can decide not to be, right? You decide to go to class, you can decide not to go to class. So we make decision, but on what basis are we making decision? Most of the time, if you are making decision, you make decision that aligns with your goal, plan, and you make decision with data. So if you are making decision and it's not in alignment with your plan or goal, you will not be seen as serious, right? So decision making is where everything comes together. Control will give you influence, right? Like we said, is a managed influence over what you are doing. Planning will give you direction, and measurement will give you insight into how to make decision, but decision will give you power. So every day in aquaculture, decision defines your outcome, right? The outcome of your life is by decisions that you make in your life. That you decide to come to this training, it means that you are designing an outcome, that in the next 2 years, 3 years, I want to be very good in aquaculture. Not aquaculture in school alone, I want to be very good in aquaculture business. The difference between me and my peers, or some of us and our peers when we were in school, is because we had opportunities that gave us exposure beyond what they are teaching us in classroom, just like this, right? So we are not limited to learning what we are being taught in class alone. We had some outside knowledge, we had some industry knowledge that helped us and helped our journey faster. Like now, what you know, most of your classmates don't know them because they are not exposed to this. So when you are starting and you are on a good track, you already know what to do, you already know the principles, you already know how to do this, you know how to plan yourself, you know how to scale, you know how to do this, you know all of this rudiment of aquaculture business. They are just going into the world with biology. You already know about cost, you already know about management, you already know about data. Your own journey will be faster than theirs, right? You can even teach them the rudiments. That no. What you are doing, you can look at a business and know if it's working or not. It's giving you insight. Your eyes is opening. You can know how the world works. Do you understand? So decision is very important. And decision that can be made is, oh, when to feed, when to do this, when to do that, when to harvest. If you if you are something called indecision can create a lot of loss in many ways. And if you make the wrong decision, it can create setback. But you see, when you are making the right decision, it can create multiplication. And intentional decision is timely, data informed, and goal aligned. So if you are making a decision that is not part time, that is not aligning with your goal, then what kind of decision are you making? So to make the right decision, it has to be data informed, right? You have to make it on data, and those data will be that, oh, in the next 2 months, 3 months, I want to be here, I want to be good in this, right? I want to be good in this. So how do I go about that? What's my plan? So what opportunities are presenting themselves to me? What should I do? So those are the basis in which you take decision. Right now, I want someone to recap the four principles that we've mentioned. Talk a little, recap your understanding about the four principles just in one statement each on them. Can you hear me?
Mm-mm.
Is she there? If you're on online, please type same thing. Recap. Let us recap. I'm waiting for us. What are the things that we've learned on the four principles? Principle number one: control, planning, measurement, and decision.
So can I go first?
Yeah, please.
So what I'll be talking about all through principle of control. I'm actually talking about um everything on your farm, nothing is happening by accident. Everything is going according to your plan. That is, you're in full management of everything, from your pond selection to the kind of fish like you want to breed, to your stocking density, to your record keeping, your cost and finances. So when you and it comes down to principle of planning. This is where adequate planning is ensured for everything to go in one direction. The third one is principle of measurement. This is the constant measurement of everything you have, from measurement of mortality rate, measurement of stocking density, measurement of everything in your farm. Then the last one is principle of decision making. This is where everything comes together. Control gives influence, planning gives direction, measurements give insight, and like on how to make decisions. Thank you.
Great, 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 great. Okay, Tawa, are you there? Are you ready?
Sir, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, good morning. I can hear you.
Okay, okay, sir. About the first principle you mentioned, the first one is principle of planning. What I understand is that you have to think of and act quicker. So then like your time is just a match before you start the journey. The second one, thinking of listening. Don't just put
I
it
think your voice is a little bit low, so can't hear you. Those on YouTube, I'm expecting your input. Oh. So can you increase your voice a bit? Perpetual, can you hear? I can't hear. I can't hear from my end. Tawa, I can't hear you. Yeah, you can try to speak now.
Yeah, I can try to speak now.
Okay, sir. I said about the three principles you mentioned earlier. The principle of planning. Under is how to think first. To think. You don't just like planning is drawing the map before you start the journey. And you don't just do it. You have to think first and act later. For principle of decision making, you use data, not fear or hope that okay, this thing will work. But you don't just do things, you don't just do first thing that comes to mind. So you have to decide on it. For the principle of measure, are you still hearing me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, oh,
Okay, for the principle of measurements, you can't manage what you don't measure. Measurement is your farm's report card, and I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, you've done well. You've done well already. Yeah, I think that's the issue. Finding it hard to hear you, I think because of network. So Samuel said before we start anything on our farm, we must plan, take measurements. Planning is very compulsory in the farm. We can't start a fish farm and expect it to grow. We must plan ahead. Okay, so all of these are correct, one way or the other, and we are all on track. So I believe we've understood how to when we say agriculture as a system and what it means by you being able to save yourself time, energy, and money. Right? It works on what principle are you aligning yourself with. So in business system, decision determines how much profit you will make, how much your business will grow, and can you even be sustainable. So making just the right decision can transform your aquaculture business into a profitable enterprise. So as I close on this today, I want you to have a holistic system view that when these four principles work together, aquaculture business will become a closed loop system where control will stabilize the business, right? Planning will structure it for you, and measurement will inform you on how to run the business better because you are getting insights. So when you make the right decision, it can evolve your business into a global enterprise. So now that you've understand aquaculture as a system, tomorrow is it tomorrow that we're having tomorrow by 8 p.m. right? 8 p.m. tomorrow and Sunday is 8 p.m. So we are going to look at tomorrow. We are going to look at the ecosystem of aquaculture industry in Nigeria, right? What is the ecosystem of aquaculture industry in Nigeria? Um, yeah, so that's what we are going to do tomorrow. Do you have questions? Do you have questions about what we've learned today?
So, sir, I didn't get the next topic you said.
I said ecosystem of aquaculture in Nigeria. We are still going to create the flyer, so we are going to also get it properly. Ecosystem of aquaculture in Nigeria.
Okay.
So, are there any other questions? All right. So if there are no other questions, okay, I can see Manuel say I couldn't find a link to the studio. Yeah. Okay. Well, number one principle of control, help reduce uncertainty. Principle of planning, help save time. Principle of measurement, help turn assumption into data. Principle of decision making brings everything together. So thank you so much, everyone. I think that's a profound, and I believe we are making progress with this. And I believe by the end of the training sessions, you should have built competency, at least quality knowledge to start or even teach someone to start a proper aquaculture business. So thank you all for your time and let's enjoy our day today. Bye
Thank
everyone.
you, sir.